we're at the City Car Museum, and this is in Greenville, Tennessee. And we're going to roll the intro. But as I do, they have some really cool cars in here, and it's a really nice experience. I would recommend you make the drive, especially if you're in Pigeon Forge and you're just looking for something to do. Just type in City Garage Museum, type it in, and head up this way. It's open 10 to 4 Friday and Saturday. Here's a V8 cop car, and we're gonna roll that intro. Here's a 2006 Bentley Continental GT Coupe. Here's a 64.5 Mustang convertible. It's even a 289 car, so that's pretty cool. It has a full frame off restoration. Here's the Mustang Generations. Now we actually own a Fox body, and we actually have a SN95, which is somewhere in here. Mine's a 96, so I'm assuming it's probably like right there. And here's a 65 Fastback. But now this is really cool. This is a 1901 Oldsmobile. Look how you had to steer it. You had to steer it with that little rod in the center. Here's a C3 Corvette. This is 1976. Fastest ride I ever went in was in a C3 Corvette. It had a built 383 in it, and it was a rocket. Here's a 1930 Ford. There's a convertible. It's a Shea Model A. There you go. Y'all can pause to read this if you want to. With the rumble seats. Here's a 1982 Buick Riviera. When I was a kid, these cars were actually quite abundantly on the road, which I graduated in 97, so I'm old for a lot of y'all. But these things were on the road a lot when I was a kid. And here's a 1993 Oldsmobile. I actually wanted one of these cars when I was in high school. Not so much the convertible, but the 3 headlight, which I think a lot of that had to do, though, with the fact that John Force, I think, drove an Oldsmobile in that era. I mean, it was just an Oldsmobile body, but it's pretty cool. Here's a Nash Metropolitan. And it is a 1959 model, and these cars are always cool to me because they're like a mini car. They're like the size of like a CRX would be, for y'all that know what a CRX is, or a CRZ. But they were making mini cars even back in the 50s. This is a 1936 Auburn Boat Tail. These cars are absolutely beautiful. That's probably one of the most beautiful older cars that they ever built. Rolls Royce here apparently has a little bit of star appeal. It was in this movie right here. I mean, it had Sandra Bullock in it and Ashley Judd. So, and James Garner. So, used in the Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. And it's a pretty car. Here's a good looking Ford truck with some sweet little patina. There's a Christmas tree with some popcorn sucking cups and stuff on it. And alright, now I live in Jefferson County in Tennessee. Cotton County is right beside of us, and that's where Popcorn Sutton, I reckon, was from. Y'all can pause and read that right there if you want to. Moonshiner Mark. They carry Popcorn Sutton t-shirts. And here's a Jeff Gordon Monte Carlo. And when me and the wife first got married, I looked at one of these so many times and would have actually, if I could have bought one, we probably would have bought one. Here's a SSR. This is basically a Corvette truck adaptation from, it's supposed to look like a 50s truck, but it's basically a Corvette underneath. This one here is a 2004. Here's a 1969 Camaro convertible. Here's a 69 Z28 with a 302 in it. And I know there's going to be a lot of people pop in the comments and say that Ford makes a 302, but actually Chevrolet made a 302. I can't remember if the combination was a 283 engine with 307 crank, or if it was a 307 engine with a 283 crank, but somehow or another those two engines were combined to make the Chevy 302. It was one of the more powerful motors that they built. Here's a 1957 Chevrolet convertible, and those are just sweet. This one's got the Continental kit. 1978 Cadillac Eldorado, which is what they used in the 2005 Dukes of Hazzard movie as Boss Hogg's car. But I believe he drove like a it wasn't an Eldorado. I believe he drove like a Coupe de Ville in the actual series of Dukes of Hazzard. Here's a 1981 Berlinetta Coupe. So this is a bodied car, probably subframed to like an S10 or something would be my guess. Not sure. No, it's a Corvette chassis, it says, so. Fully fiberglass body. It's a pretty sweet looking little ride, though. Here's a 2001 Corvette. And for those people that's been following me for a while, y'all kind of know that I kind of always wanted one of these. But now this right here, I've got a funny story about these cars right here. 1972 Pantera. You know, Boscript Garage, they got one recently and started doing one. Whenever I was in high school, or right out of high school, I had a 1998 Mustang that I had hopped up a little bit. It wasn't a rocket, but I had hopped up. One of these pulled up beside of me at a red light in Tazewell, Tennessee, of all places. And we hit it off, and I mean, he walked me, he pulled car lengths on me. But that was my first time ever experiencing anything like that. So it's pretty cool to get to see one on the highway. And here is a Subaru SVX Sport Coupe. And these have a really wild window design. And I don't know if any of y'all have ever watched the movie Fireproof with Kirk Cameron, but they had one of these in one of the scenes in in the movie. And this right here is a 1970 Subaru, and it's a 2-cylinder car. The first Subaru to be brought to the U.S. And then here's a DeLorean, and we all know the DeLorean. Back to the Future, you know, the car that Michael J. Fox drove to go back in time to see his parents and change the history of the and all that. Which Back to the Future is one of my all-time favorite movies. It may be my favorite movie franchise of all times, as far as like a trilogy goes. And here's John DeLorean's office chair, which is pretty cool. And here's a Subaru Brat, 1982. I always liked these two. I thought they were cool. They're probably most of y'all probably would recognize this if you ever watched the show My Name's Earl. This is what Joey had. And here's a Brickland, 1975. Here's a 1931 Ford station wagon. And a 1961 Willis Jeep. Here's a 1915 Van Blecker Speedster. Now this baby is a 17-liter 6-cylinder. And here's an Excalibur SS convertible. Here's a 1941 Plymouth. Here's a 1951 Crosley Hot Shot. I'll pause to read this right here. Here's a 1966 Corvette convertible. '57 Chevrolet 2-door hardtop. Here's a 1952 Pontiac. Some Goodyear tires from NASCAR. Some electronics from one of the speedways. From Union 1976 Tower. Here's a 1936 Ford Sprint car. Here is a silver and black Monte Carlo Super Sport, painted up to look, I guess it's like the, when Dale Earnhardt did the silver car back at, it's like a tribute car for him. There's Sterling Marlin celebrating his victory at Daytona 500. There's some Ernie Irvan Kodak film. Here's an Intimidator SS Camaro 2001. These are super rare. I remember seeing one in 2001 at one of the local Chevy dealerships. I thought, man, that thing is awesome. And here's some Daytona stuff if you want to pause to look at it. Your Valleydale Meats from Bristol Motor Speedway. Baloo Motorsports Experience 86 to 88. And they raced the Baloo Oldsmobile. There's a miniature Corvette. There's Dale Jr. And there's Rob Moroso. And here's some more NASCAR stuff. Here's Pontiac Motorsports merch. Winston Cup racing stuff. Rusty Wallace Miller Genuine Draft. And Food City. There's a Ernie Irvan car. Here's a cutaway of how an engine works. And some explanation of what each part is on the car. And this is the Andrew Johnson house. If y'all would like me to do a video on this sometime or another, just hit it in the comments below. You'd like to see the Andrew Johnson house, which is the 17th President of the United States. And thanks for watching.